Hey, this is Tom Jacobs from tdjacobs.com. I'm an evolutionary astrologer and an energy worker and a channel, and this is the 11th in a series of brief overview videos, maybe 9 or 10 minutes each, on the true black moon Lilith in the houses of the natal chart. As the 11th one, it is, of course, the 11th house. I want to explain to you first that I use the true black moon Lilith, or the oscillating apogee, which is not as easily or readily found as the mean position. Most astrologers are using the mean position because our brains believe that the true black moon Lilith's motion is too erratic to trust. But in using the mean position, it's as if you're trying to force the energy of the natural instinctive wild into a little box, which is anti-Lilith. So the natural, as I talk about Lilith in this series, or later in this video, it's about instinct and our changeability and being in the body and being present to how biochemistry and energy and emotions and physicality, everything's always changing. So if we're locked into some like averaging out the true motion, we're missing the point of the Lilith archetype entirely. For the full story on this, there is a video where I touch on it here on YouTube called True versus Mean Black Moon or something like that. But also Lilith Healing the Wild, my book contains the full story about why my approach is based in this. So check your software for if you're using the true black moon or the mean. It will default to the mean, highly likely. If you're using free charts on astro.com, which is what I often do because I add a bunch of asteroids that maybe other softwares don't always have preloaded, it's H13. H as in Howard 1-3 that you add to get the oscillating apogee. It'll show up as OSC period, or no, it'll show up as LIL period and then in parentheses O, like LILO, not really LOL, not really appropriate for Lilith, but so I just encourage you to use the true black moon, because otherwise you're asking a Barbie doll, if you use the mean position, you're asking a Barbie doll what a woman is like. It's not right. It's plasticized. It's forced into some kind of conventional format that the brain can kind of handle. So the 11th house is about the future. We learn in astrology very often that it's about friends, hopes, wishes, dreams, groups, and dreams. But I want to take you back to the beginning with thinking about the 11th house as goals. What do you want for your life? What expression do you want to pursue? What do you want to create in the world? What do you want your life to serve? What do you want the future to look like? And the truth, the wisdom of the 11th house, is that no one person can create the future he or she wants alone. So you find people who are like-minded, who have similar goals, or you can network with to mutually support each other in pursuing different goals. That's the nature of the 11th house for reals. When people have problems in the 11th house, such as Chiron, placements, or Pluto, or even South Node sometimes, South Node of the Moon, and also Lilith, sometimes people are turned off by groups. I'll explain why when I get to the Lilith in the 11th house. But the basic idea is there's always a group for you. You just have to keep looking for them. So when you find yourself in a social context or a group situation that doesn't work for you, great. You know, you might need to withdraw. They might kick you out and say, you don't belong here. Take that as a cue that you need to find people who are like-minded. One of the natural truths about being human is that we change. And so you might join a group and then pretty quickly evolve beyond the group you just joined. So it's normal to have to cycle through and cycle up and upgrade and move through groups. So you consider, what do I want my future to look like? Another way I look at this is, where is all this headed? Like, you look at what's around you, look at what you're doing, what you're choosing, what you're building, what you're doing every day for a living. Where is all this headed? That's an 11th house concern as well. And so you need to realize that you can create a better future. You have to have faith that that can happen, and that you can find people. Now, the people who are like-minded or who share the same goals as you or something in common. It's we're very fortunate right now living in what, you know, the information age. I'm sitting in my office in my home in Tucson, Arizona, and I'm recording this video on December 8th, 2017 at 9:38 p.m. and you are watching it on YouTube from wherever the hell on earth you live whenever the hell you're watching this. And so this whole thing about the internet age, the information age, is a very 11th house kind of thing, a very Aquarian, Uranian 11th house kind of thing. You can find people through keyword searches. And, you know, the list of you might also like, you know, so we are living in a fortunate time where we have access to a tremendous amount of opportunities to find each other like-minded people. You know, could I have created a career like this 100 years ago? No way. But I can put an article up online and it enrolls people. People come. So anyway, that's about the 11th house, finding people. And we live in a time where we're very fortunate to have access to each other across the world. It's routine that I do. It's normal. Very often I do these classes for 5 or 6 people, and you know, 2 will be in Europe, 1 will be in New Zealand, 3 will be in the US, and it's like we're having this intimate conversation over video conferencing. So anyway, that's a part of the 11th house as well, is that those connections with like-minded others, even if they're very far away, through electronic media. So that's the 11th house. The true Black Moon Lilith is the instinctive wild. It is not about losing control, that image of wildness. It is about getting in our bodies, being connected to our emotions, our physical bodies, and our instinct. Lilith lives in the root chakra and is this visceral, primal, yes, no energy. Pre-rational, pre-verbal, pre-logical. You encounter something, you know immediately if it's for you or if it isn't for you. Lilith people disrupt the status quo. So sometimes they are edited, or people try to control them, or people shame them for not being normal or right. It's because the other people are living in a world where they expect things to be manageable and controllable. Lilith people bring disruption for good reason. But a lot of people who are living Lilith stories have to come out of histories of being abused, shamed, punished, raped, thrown out, burned at the stake in some lifetime for being different or counter to the patriarchal status quo. Lilith in many ways is anti-Saturn because Saturn seeks to always condense and coalesce and crystallize. Lilith is, I don't know what's going to happen. And Saturn says, we need to tell you what to do. We, these people in the back room, I don't know, the committee. Lilith needs autonomy and to develop her own way of being based on what her body, her biochemistry, her emotions tell her. So true Black Moon Lilith energy is about getting into the body and really living according to what you need to do for yourself. So taking the true Black Moon Lilith, putting it in the 11th house. The right groups for you, if you have this placement, are Lilith people. They're focused on groups of autonomous individuals, or they're interested in Lilith type themes. They're working toward autonomy or equality and justice, or helping people heal abuse issues, or some kind of Lilith oriented theme. Lilith can seem to some of us to be very individualistic, and it is, but you can create a group of people who trust themselves, thereby coalescing an 11th house organization focused on a shared goal or a common set of values. But it looks to a lot of people like Lilith, because if you focus on Lilith as a demon, then you see that, you know, she's a terrible person. You have this image of her, and she doesn't belong anywhere. And a lot of people living Lilith in the 11 stories might have felt themselves pushed out or demonized, made wrong, just for showing up in the group because they somehow disrupt that status quo. So the right people for you, the right groups, the right friends, are forward-looking people who allow you to be autonomous, who own their own autonomy and work toward that. But over the course of life, you may have been shamed, abused, punished, kicked out, etc. So lots of times with Lilith, if you think about the group who wants something to be the same, it's in any context, but a group that wants something to be the same, and then the Lilith person shows up and threatens that because there's a unique body-centered creative perspective that is more reasonable given how people are as opposed to what we're expected to be like. That person shows up, that person you know, is going to be seen not to belong. So power struggles can occur because Lilith people, when they're doing it well, when they're healthy and grounded, are tuned into a truth within themselves. It may not be the truth for other people, but there's something, some perspective the Lilith person is bringing that's unique and that is real and true and individualistic in some way. So if you get kicked out of a group, be grateful and go find another group. Some people with 11th house issues think the group is the problem, as I mentioned, but it's really about finding the right people to relate to. And I always tell people to step back and say, where is all this headed? Do I like where this is headed, whatever is going on? You know, am I in touch with what I want my future, the future, to look like? What world do I want to live in? What are my values and where do I want to go? That's the kind of place to begin. But there can be, for some people, a great deal of debris and garbage to heal about being made wrong and being scapegoated within groups with true Black Moon Lilith. If you don't expect to be punished, you won't be punished. If you're not available to be shamed, if you're not available to be ashamed about yourself, then other people bringing you shame won't have anything to stick to. It's a very important truth with all Lilith. So thanks for your time and energy. Check out Lilith Healing the Wild, the book, as well as the True Black Moon Lilith Natal Report, all at tdjacobs.com. And take care of yourself.